Hi, as we have discussed in our first part of lecture, what is project management and what are the key points, especially planning, scheduling, controlling, and closing. So, after having learned all these finer aspects of project management, now we will apply all those points into translation processes or management of translation business. So, let's see how it goes, and I suggest you and request you to do subscribe to our channel and be with us. Click on bell button to get regular updates and remain in touch with us. Thanks for watching. In our previous lecture, we had tried to understand what is project management, what are its basic principles, and how it helps any processes in good execution by maintaining schedule, plan, as well as time management, controlling, and closing. Same thing if we take it back to our translation business, we have to take it into consideration certain points, and that point is integration, project management integration in our processes. I told you how to integrate it in my previous lecture. The idea was to bring all those principles of planning, scheduling, execution, controlling, and closing. The same thing comes here as part of integration in our business in point number 1, and then comes into defining a scope, defining time, defining cost, understanding quality requirements of the client, and based on all these 5 requirements, you hire the human resource, maintain communication with them, and while doing all these activities, you cover the risk and then do procurement. Once the procurement is done, that comes under document. Means documentation must be done, and the last part is change. What is change? All these points that is well documented, including a scope, time, cost, quality, human resource, communication, risk, procurement, and documentation. They are always documented, but over a period of time, not necessarily always, but there are chances that there will be sudden change in the requirements. And that can happen when there is a scope, change in the scope. That can happen when there is change in time schedule. That can happen when there is sudden increase in the cost of the project or decrease in the cost of the project. Similarly, quality requirements may change. Similarly, human resource may not be available, which is required. There is communication gap. Certain risk has occurred. Additional risk has come into picture. The procurement is not very smooth. There are many hiccups coming in. Similarly, their documentations are not done properly. So these are all proportional to certain changes that can take place. So in our project management process, we must keep provisions when these changes occur, how to integrate those changes in our process. If we don't adapt and we do not change and keep, let's say, a scope is static, but time has changed, cost has changed, human resource has changed, the delivery may not be that smooth or as per promise. For example, if cost changes, the scope can't be the same, time can't be the same, quality can't be the same. Similarly, if communication is not happening, your time may change, your cost may get affected, quality may get affected. you know. So one change can affect the whole process of project management. Therefore, whatever we define any process, we should always keep in mind that certain change can take place and we must adapt or adopt to those changes as soon as possible immediately, so that our project does not get delayed and it goes well smoothly to the client. This is what the basic comes into picture while we are talking about integration of these project management in our translation. Typical workflow, let's say, of any agency, or a translation company. I have made it for translation company deliberately because it will also cover client, it will also cover translator. Client may develop their own workflow which will be different than this one. Similarly, agency will have this kind of a workflow. A translator may have a totally different kind of a workflow. For an agency, client as well as translators, both are important. For translator, either a client, direct client, or an agency are important. For client, their project is more important. So their workflow may focus only on project and very little on agency, or they may not do anything on translation at all, translator at all. So this is broadly workflow. For client, we have to take into consideration preparations, request for quotation, signature of agreement or non-disclosure agreement, price, time, quality, etc. are put into agreement and contract takes place. Similarly, for agency signs non-disclosure agreements with the client, and then before agreement they understand their human resources, they also understand if there is any CAT tool need, they understand the cost of the project, keeping all these factors into account, they send a proposal, terms and conditions of the payment, any risk factor contingencies they want to put into place. Once they receive the purchase order, they hire the translators and give instructions. While giving instructions to the translators, they may give instructions related to quality standards, they may supply some glossary, or they may ask translator to prepare a glossary and send it to the client for approval. All these basic things are done, then the translators comes into picture. Similarly, translator also signs non-disclosure agreement with the agency, evaluates the document, evaluates the cost or price. If they agree on certain terms and conditions, they agree. If they have agreed to provide certain quality standards into picture, translator, irrespective of price they have agreed, they have to deliver each and every point religiously as per the agreed terms and conditions. They will give a visual inspection, they will understand number of words, they will understand the cost of the project, and once the communication between translator and agency takes place, all these things are discussed and agreement takes place. Many times an agreement may take place only through mail, no need of formal agreement. As per law, the agreement can even happen verbally, or even it can happen on telephone. It is a gentleman's promise. It is considered that any communication, whether it is explicit or implied, it is a contract. As long as there is a deal involved. Deal is, in lieu of price, you deliver something. In lieu of certain value or certain services, you deliver something. Not necessarily always price, but there is always a consideration between the two parties. If there is no consideration, there is no contract. Okay, so translation is done professionally. Quality control is done by the translator at his individual capacity or at his team capacity, with with close colleague, close associate, close sister, brother, wife, girlfriend, whosoever, or all alone, and it is declared to the agency that it is going to be proofread, it must be proofread. If it is not going to proofread, you declare to the agency that you will only do translation because you don't have anyone, because agency accordingly prepares the proofreader. And then once this is done, you deliver to the agency. Agency's proofreader or the quality controller reads your document, finds that everything is okay, they send it to the client. Client's project manager finds everything okay, approves on agreed price or terms of payment, you receive the funds and the project is closed. If client has certain mechanism, certain plan, certain feedback, they will give this feedback to the client. Sorry, this feedback will be given, and based on the feedback, agency will talk to the translator. Translator will bring changes, give back to the agency. Agency will again read it, give back to the client, and that's how the improvement process takes place between client, agency, and translator. After certain projects, a good understanding is developed, and everything runs smooth. But if translator starts playing smart, agency runs into trouble, client runs into trouble, and the conflict is starts. Similarly, if client starts becoming smart with agency, the project relationship between client and agency goes haywire, and the losses to go. Similarly, if agency starts becoming smart with translator, relationship between the translator will go away, it will deteriorate, and agency will run pillar to post for every project for seeking a new translator. And if that happens, it is going to be the big loss for the agency because they don't have a team. For every project they have to look for a translator. So they will waste their 50% energy just in not executing the project, but only locating the human. Such kind of agencies you will find in plenty all over the world. My suggestion will be to avoid those agencies, because if you are engaging with those agencies, you are running at a risk. You can get yourself into trouble anytime. So before entering into relationship with any agency, try and find out best possible methods to check their credibility, check their credentials, check their payment practices, how good they are, what is their reputation, etc., etc. Talk to your friends, talk to your faithful people around who are into industry. Ask questions, they will tell you who the hell these people are. Participate in forums, social media. You will be moving like river, water. If you get stagnant, you will not get information. If you are current, you are moving like a water, you will get every information what is going on in the industry. So that's how things come into picture into translation project management. So now, as I had talked to you about quality management, quality standards in translation before, in project management also it is very important to maintain both linguistics as well as non-linguistic aspects of quality management. I have cited J2450 Society of Automotive Engineers linguistic aspects, which is very important. If you put them on a scale of 1 to 10, you will be able to understand that wrong terms are never accepted in translation. Similarly, syntactic errors are never accepted in translation. Critical omissions are not accepted in translation. For example, if I am looking for a translation that mentions my salary certificate, and in that salary certificate the amount is not mentioned, this is one of the critical omissions. That means I I am liable to be rejected and not paid for the translation. You can't say I have translated 100 words but I have left only one word. And that one word in the salary slip is the salary of the person. If you have missed that, you have missed everything. Similarly, sentence structure, agreement of verb, gender, etc. is very important. Misspelling, you must spell check. Punctuation errors, and there are many other similar comma error, miscellaneous dash error, quotation error. So these are all linguistic errors that tells you that if you are not controlling these errors, whatever best things that you do in your work, your translation is of no use for the client, because clients have to look for, if for example a wrong term, one word can have 50 meanings, and that is where you have been hired for, that you don't put all Tom, Dick, Harry meaning, you put the exact meaning what is required. There are many times when one term the same two terms can have two different meanings and or similar meanings can happen. But in those conditions, instead of guessing which one to do and which one not to do, it is better to ask the client that this particular word has two terms and I am unable to fix which one to place. Can you please suggest me out of these two which one you find it suitable to put in, or have you been using any of these terms in your past translations? Client will be happy to reply you back if they are good clients. But if they are don't understand these linguistic details, they may tell you, I have asked you for the translation, just give me translation, don't bother. Then you can be sure that this fellow is not going to check your translation at all. Put whatever you want, no problem. But it is always good to do translations in consultation with the client. Similarly, non-linguistic aspects, I told you, when you are using CAT tools, you are told to do certain tasks. For example, you are told to do not cross certain number of characters in a particular line. You are told not to do. There are lots of forgotten translation. There are many times corrupt characters that you face. There is inconsistency in source. For example, in source document you have 10 sentences, but in target sentence you have 11 sentences. This is not a linguistic problem. This is a non-linguistic problem. Source has 10 but translation has 11. Source has 10 but translation has only 8 sentences. Anyone who is not a translator can come out and tell you that your translation is of no use to us by simply checking these basic things. You may not be expert in Japanese, but you can tell that this particular translation has not been done properly, and you can blindly send it back to the agency or to the translator and tell him or her that check it, you have given us trash. You don't need to be an expert to check quality of a translation. If all these basic, because these are all basic requirements, if somebody is linguistically correct, he or she will non-linguistically be also be correct in most of the time. I am saying most of the time. But it is in relation to your quality. If you are doing a good translation, you will not spare even a single a chance of comma to give a client who will tell you and refer you back with certain comments that your translation is not good because we had 10 sentences, you are giving 9 sentences. We had comma, you have not put this comma. We had paragraph, you have not put. We had 5 paragraph, you have given us 3 paragraphs. Or by mistake, first paragraph has gone into third paragraph. Any common experience Manager who has no linguistic capabilities can check your quality and put you into shame. So therefore, when you are entering into contract with any agency or a company, ask all the basic information and details and requirements, including quotation marks, bracket, parentheses, number formatting. For example, many times we write 9th of April 2017. Okay, somebody will write 9/4/2017. Somebody will write 4/7/2017. It all depends where you are using that locale. This is what is called localization. For America, I will write 7/4/2017. For Britain, I will write 4/7/2017. So, apart from linguistic aspects that we have into consideration, we also have to take into account all these non-linguistic and locale aspects into consideration. Similarly, equally is very important is terminology. Everything is good, but if you have not maintained consistency in terminology, for example, at one point you are writing better, in next paragraph you are writing good, and in last paragraph you are writing best for only one word. This is not a good consistency, and anyone can point out, that in first paragraph you are writing good, unless it is certainly better and best written that way in thought, that is fine. But for good, if you are writing at one point better, at some point writing best, it is an error. Similarly, there are many times when we have terms which are not translated. There are certain names, they remain names. For example, Modlingua. You can't translate Modlingua into Hindi. Even in Hindi, Modlingua will remain Modlingua. Similarly, there are tags, in cat tools, including trados, identical tags. If there are identical tags, you need to put those tags into target sentence as well. If you miss that tag, that means you have missed the word. And these tags are very, very important, especially when you are working in cat tools, because this tag may have some connotation when it gets converted into an MS Word file. That tag could mean a right mark or cross mark or a figure or a no sign. Anything it can be there. And if you have missed that means you have missed a major part of the task. So with this, I would like to extend my sincere thanks for your time and understanding of project management in translation. If you have any questions, any doubts, please do let me know, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel on Modlingua and remain in touch. Thanks for your time and hope you had a good time with us.